I don't know. Good morning, first of all. I don't know if you know the significance of the lyrics to Let It Rain. I don't know if you know the significance of the rain, but I want to share it with you this morning. Do you realize that after the rain, we were given a rainbow to promise to never flood again? However, when it rains, even now, today, new life forms after. Your grass grows greener and prettier. Your flowers bloom bright and colorful. Rain is new life. Send the rain. Let it rain. Rain is newness. Rain is refreshing. Rain is renewing. As bad as the storm appears to be, what comes after it is more beautiful than the damage that it could have ever done. That's the significance of the rain. Good morning. Welcome to BAGA, where we are being accountable and getting aligned. This actual post was supposed to be done March 31st. And I want to say this because timing is everything. Timing is everything. In the Bible it says there is a time to die, live, fight, all that. It's a time for everything. And although we plan things and our timing is what we think timing should be, it's not. The Lord's Prayer says, Lord, let thy will, not my will, be done. So we're in God's timing, period, point blank. We're in his timing. And we have to remember that even in his timing, he's always on time. Always. No matter what it is, no matter how late it seems. My pastor preached last week that even when Lazarus was dead, he was still on time. Even though it wasn't in his sister's time, he was still on time. In order to accept God's time, we have to allow ourselves to become self-disciplined. Because patience, boy, it's a virtue. But it takes a lot of discipline to be patient as you got to be when you're dealing with God, because what we don't is know. We want to know everything, but we don't know. We know God. If you know God, you know God. But you don't know his thoughts, because his thoughts ain't our thoughts. They not. He on a whole different focus, okay? What you focus on, he ain't focused on. He already dealt with it. He on a whole different focus. Today, we're going to talk about self-discipline. Excuse me for being still in the bed. It is the wee hours of the morning. Trust me. This is pre-recorded. Self-discipline. Self-discipline. The scripture that we have chosen to come from is the Habakkuk scripture. We sticking with Habakkuk because look, we still writing down the vision. We still making it plain. You know, that's because that's what we have to do. That's a part of being disciplined and being prepared so that when God does whatever it is that he gonna do in his timing, we ready. And I'm going to make this statement. In January, we discussed the importance of self. Hopefully, you have started working on yourself. Understanding self-preservation as the first rule of life. In February, we discussed paying closer attention to you. Pay more attention to you, because you have to become self-aware. Self-aware of the things that cause you issues. Your own behaviors that cause you issues. I ain't talking about other people. I'm talking about what you're doing to you to cause you issues. Because a lot of times we doing that. We don't recognize it because we ain't paying attention to what we doing. We paying attention to what everybody else doing. Hopefully you become more aware of those self-destructive behaviors that you possess. Things like thought processes that are crippling memories, behaviors, and habits that consistently cause your perfectly laid plans to become unraveled. That's the kind of stuff we got to stop doing. That stuff will ruin you. Let's talk about how we can become more disciplined so that we can learn to control our self-sabotaging behaviors. Change, first of all, is up to you. There is nothing that anybody else can change about you. A lot of times we want to change so much stuff about ourselves, so we do this. We gonna spend a whole lot of money getting stuff like BBLs, facelifts. We want to change things, or suction. What they call that? Suction, when they sucking the fat out your body. That you go do that. But you know what? All you have to do, look, it takes self-discipline. When you do that, you don't have no self-discipline. That's the problem. You don't have no self-discipline. This ain't even right. Like, this is not supposed to be like this. That's what I'm trying. I pulled this out to tell you this ain't supposed to be like this. A lot of times we always talk about what we can't do. We have an excuse for everything we can't do. This not supposed to look like this. This broke. Cameron strong like Hulk, so he broke it accidentally. So he gave it to me because really this is not what he needs. He's too strong for this. This is not, he need much more resistance than this. But I have issues with my hip sometimes. So I can't exercise. I can't go to the weight room or go to the gym like I would like to do because the pressure on my hip that ain't gonna work. I'm just letting you know that ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to call the ER. I'm going to the hospital. Okay. So I've got this. And it's broke. But why can't you use something that's broken? God used us when we broken. Come on. So, I've been exercising. And I don't want to do it right now. I just want to show y'all what I've been doing. So, I said that to say, I could have a whole bunch of excuses why I can't do that. I could. I have right now, I can probably think of 1,000,000 excuses why I can't do this. But none of them are valid. Excuses aren't valid. Excuses are a verbal admission of your lack of discipline. That's what an excuse is. A verbal admission of your lack of discipline. Stop. Change is up to you. Epigenetics is the study of changes in organisms caused by modification of gene expression rather than altercation of the genetic code. In layman terms, it's offering new experiences. It's modification of gene expression. It's changing the experiences of the said gene, period. If we spend less time harping and complaining and giving life to generational curses and excuses, and more time educating our young, our friends, and everybody else on generational wealth through preserving our mental, physical, and therefore spiritual, and therefore prolonging our ability to create wealth, we become a force to be reckoned with. But a lot of times we be worried about the wrong thing. For example, right now, they dropping bombs on Israel. Right now. I saw that this morning. And most people know that my daughter has been deployed. But It be so much stuff on the internet and being discussed on the news. It just really is not even important. I'm just being honest. Some of the stuff we talk about ain't important. Like, for example, never mind. I ain't gonna even say that. This ain't the platform for that. But look, we worry about the wrong thing. It's a lot of stuff that we need to focus on that don't have nothing to do with nobody but ourselves. If we fix us first as an individual, fix you first. You got to be disciplined enough to do what you know you need to do. Period. It's just, that's it. When Jesus fasted and was tempted by the enemy, even though he had not eaten, his spirit remained strong, giving his body the necessary energy to fight temptation. Your spirit man moves you. You have to keep your spirit man as strong as your physical man, or stronger. I'm just going to be honest. Because when your physical man can't move, your spirit man can still move. Self-discipline is the ability to pursue what is right despite temptations to abandon it. Things like fasting and meditation are methods to reboot or center your physical and spiritual self. It helps you to focus. It cleanses you. Being balanced helps you keep things in perspective so that even in the heat of the moment, you can think clearly. This requires that you live by some set of morals and rules of life. If you think it's right to get drunk and drive, speeding down the highway, risking your life and the lives of others, you have no morals and a lack of self-discipline. And my grandmama would say, you wasn't raised, baby. Being balanced helps you keep things in perspective. You got to be balanced. You got to have morals. This action of driving down the highway in a speeding bullet, basically, this action is not only dangerous for others, but it abandons the first rule of life, which is preserving yourself. You need to check yourself because you're finna commit suicide. Understand that just because you think it's right, it don't mean it's right. Everything you think is right is not right. If you lack intellect on a said subject, morals, values, or humility, you need much more work in the area of self in general. If you think violence or disrespect is the answer to every issue, you need to check yourself. There is always an intelligent way to handle a situation. And I understand, I get it. Sometimes we just don't be feeling the intelligent way to handle it. Call on me, I'm guilty. I don't handle things intelligently all the time. But you know what I do recall? I recall watching my father-in-law tell people off so eloquently and respectfully. It left me in awe. He never said a cuss word or yielded threats at people, but when he spoke, you knew. He said what he said. He meant what he said. Okay? My mother-in-law, she was the same way. Where I came from, you could catch some words in these hands. However, I learned from them how to chop down a tree without a chainsaw. The right words and sometimes silence speak so much louder than the baddest cussing out. As I matured, I realized that this gift comes with wisdom. My granddaddy was the same way. You heard him, and you complied. Not out of fear, but out of respect. And he was blind. He didn't even have to see you to make sure you did what he said you were going to do. Listen. Respect for authority and self-discipline has to be taught. Preferably earlier than later. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And when you get a certain age, the respect that you don't have will never be gained. It's possible, but it's difficult. Respecting authority and self-discipline, it goes hand in hand because respect for authority, giving the instructions, causes you to practice discipline. When you respect authority, you respect rules and follow instructions. This comes from understanding what no means early on. Some of y'all was never told no, and it shows. The world doesn't revolve around you. And in order to be a good leader, you got to know how to be a disciplined student. Because if you can't learn, you can't grow. Knowing is growing. When you acquire self-discipline, You can not only fulfill your purpose in life, but you can develop and follow plans that you have set forth. You don't know me. Why would you follow my instructions and not yours? Listen, if you don't know by now, there's nothing you can do that can be done without you. You should go back to the beginning. Till next time.